Okay, so I wanted to make a video. It's been on my mind for, well, I started thinking about it yesterday, and it's been on my mind. I even dreamt about it. That's crazy, isn't it? So I decided to make the video so I can get out of my brain, so I could actually start my day and focus. Yeah, pardon the noise in the background. I picked the wrong time to put a dishwasher on, but that's just me. Yeah. It's just the way it is sometimes. So that's that. So we're going to do a visual today. Essentially, what we're going to talk about is the fact that thoughts are things. And the very fact that thoughts are things, it ties in with the video I made on the situation experience loop, where you imagine a situation, you go into the situation, you live it, then you imagine another one and you live it, and then so on and so on and so on. It carries on forever, because as God in physical human suits, right? That's all God does. God just creates. That's what God does. It just imagines and creates things. We're constantly imagining. We don't actually spend very much time in the real world because not that many people actually stay present. So for the most part, we're always imagining. And even the state of presence, usually our minds still do wander to an extent. But that's another topic I'll tackle for another day. So anyway, let's just get straight into it. So, right. So we've discussed this, that, where's my pen? That God is pure light. Yeah? Pure, unadulterated, pure light, right? God hits this prism and then essentially breaks down into all the different colors, and which we perceive as reality, right? This is what's happening. But essentially the reality is actually here. It's all one thing. Yeah, there's no separation. Okay, so God being pure light breaks itself down, because God is not a man or a female. That's what we are. God breaks itself down into the elements: fire, water, earth, what do you call this? Wind. Pardon my drawings this morning. And the sort of like the spark of life, the wave of excitation, which runs the system. But essentially, it's all one thing. I've already explained this in other videos. You can go check it out, because it all ties in with each other. They're one thing, right? And it vibrates at a specific frequency, creating us. The Bible gives away this code when it says that God spoke and said, "Let there be light," and there was light. Essentially, that in itself is what they're talking about here, because the ability to speak is how we project our vibration outward. It's one of the most obvious or apparent ways we do it. And then we become fractalized versions of the one, right? Here, male and female. There are only two genders. Go and argue with your mother. So essentially, once we become the fractalized version, I call it reverse sublimation, because essentially you've got something like gas turning into solid, yeah, as opposed to solid turning into gas. So it's a bit like a reverse sublimation. That's just the best way I can explain it. So then we have man and woman, male and female, and there is the sense of separation at this point, even though it's still an illusion, because when you go back along the chain, it's still one thing, yeah? Okay, because ultimately they're also powered by the same one thing. And all of this is transpiring in the mind of God. I know God doesn't have a spine. The drawing wasn't the best, but yeah, bear with me. So all of this is transpiring in the mind of God. What do I mean by it's transpiring in the mind of God? Light broke itself down in order to project out and experience the reality. Yeah, it's the same thing. Okay, so it's all transpiring in one space, because we are not existing in different places. We are in one place. Yeah, even on a simple common sense level, we all exist in the earth, and the earth is within whatever it is. Yeah, we're in one place. Okay, cool. And yeah, check out my other stuff if you haven't, and you see what I'm trying to say. Now, male and female, he meets her, they have sex, she gets pregnant. Yeah, she's constantly imagining. She's always in the world of thoughts, yeah? Even the fact that she's pregnant, she's going to start thinking about the baby, what the baby is going to look like, the sex of the baby, blah, 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 blah. He's also doing the same thing. Okay, my baby, blah, 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 blah. Whilst they're doing this, also, the wider society, friends, family, the environment, doctors, whoever they come into contact with is also doing the same thing. Oh, how far along are you? Da, da, da. So essentially, they are all still thinking, yeah? Using thoughts. Thinking around this energy that is within the female. Now, remember, thoughts are things. So as they are thinking, and they are all having this collective thought process, and building this baby, because nobody's seen this baby yet, yeah? People would even look at the couple walking down the street, and even in passing, oh, you know, oh, she's pregnant, oh, you know, nice couple. All these little thoughts, cumulatively, and remember, the situation experience loop, like I described here, is that we think, and we go into the thought, and then blah, 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 yeah? Now, a really strange thing happened at this point. The baby cried outside. It was so strange when I was drawing this. But yeah, sidebar. So, because we are constantly imagining and we are imaging, we are actually creating images. Those images are becoming, that energy is going somewhere. Something is becoming solidified somewhere. Okay? Now, when we go along to here, now we realize that, oh, where are we? Okay. So these thoughts, everybody's thinking and they're imaging, yeah? So now we come here. They're essentially building the blocks for God to inhabit. But it's God itself that's doing it anyway, because humans can't imagine. It's the force, energy, God consciousness within us that does it, not the man. So God itself will start to build the blocks, i.e. create the prism, yeah? The construct for which it can come through and experience itself. So as it's doing this and it's building the construct gets built. Actually, before I actually go any further, there was another thing I wanted to mention. The actual prism is created by the light itself. The prism and the light are not separate. Me, you, and consciousness are not separate. There's only an illusion of separation or separateness, which is these skin suits that we are using. But these skin suits, again, are ephemeral. They don't actually exist. They will turn into nothing. You give it enough time in the 3D world, these skin suits would literally vaporize into nothing. So it doesn't actually exist. So think of it this way. The light beam itself creates a prism. For it to come through that prism, expand itself or express itself through that specific prism, and experience a reality through that prism. There are countless prisms, even on the human level. Every human being is different, so there are countless prisms, not to mention animals, not to mention all the different life forms that exist, plants, trees, bacteria, fungi. The list is endless, yeah? So there are countless prisms. So essentially, this one thing, which is light, because that light is indivisible, is unbreakable, it's that one thing, yeah? Creates all these different prisms, all these different constructs, all these different bubbles of experience for it to come through and experience itself. Yeah? Okay. So when we go back here, my teacup is in the way. Hold on 1 second. Now, once the building blocks are created by God itself, through this process of imagining and imagination, through the situation experience loop, which we're constantly doing all the time. This is why you need to be present and always make sure you guard your thoughts and don't have negative thoughts and don't think about things you don't want to experience. Never, ever, 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 ever be fascinated with things you don't want to experience, because guess what? You literally walk into it. I promise you, you will. Okay? Cool. So Once you come here, the building blocks are created, the construct is created. This is essentially what Neville Goddard talks about, the bridge of incidents, yeah? Essentially, God is, right, let me explain this as well. You are an instant manifester. I've said this in other videos. I can't remember which one it was. You are an instant manifester. You're God, yeah? You can create like that. Even that is slow. This is slow. You can create faster than this. But when you condense yourself into this state, when you break yourself down into what we humans call elements, yeah, and you're vibrating at this frequency called man and woman, i.e. the man and woman prism, yeah, or the man and woman bubble of experience, okay, what tends to happen is when you are creating, which is this process, yeah, because your thoughts create, yeah, that's what manifestation is all about, yeah, your thoughts create. That's how you create, actually, visualization, all that kind of stuff. We know this. When you're going about this process, yeah, essentially, because of the state that we are in, the vibrational frequency that we are in, it's slower, yeah, it's slower, yeah, because it's slower, things have to take a course that have to make sense to us. So although they are building the blocks of the baby, they're constructing the reality as we know, to them, it will appear as though, oh, it's just people, and eventually the baby comes, right? But all those thoughts about, it's going to be, like, if that woman was in complete isolation, nobody actually saw that baby, nobody actually had any, or that woman didn't have the ability to even think or visualize or be able to start to create that process, I promise you that baby will probably not even survive. And it's got nothing to do with social kind of, the social, what do you call that stuff, man? Interaction and all that kind of stuff. It's got nothing to do with that. It's actually part of the process. And this is why well, we don't understand the thinking process of animals, but even animals, when the female is with young, she behaves differently, which sends out a signal in the physical to the other members of the herd or the tribe who, because of that realization, will start to move differently, which means that they have a thought process around that woman or that female species that's pregnant. So collectively, they are literally creating that baby with their thoughts. And eventually, what will happen is the baby will be born. Yeah, the bubble of reality will be created to be filled by consciousness or God. And then this party begins.